What if, and stick with me here, what if intelligence isn't something you have, but rather something you do? Like, not a thing you possess, but something much bigger, something more like, well, more like gravity.
Whoa, okay. I like where you're going with this. Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does, right. And that's exactly the kind of mind-bending shift we're diving into today. We're exploring this new perspective on intelligence, not as some kind of personal possession, but as, I don't know, as a process, as something fundamental.
I'm intrigued.
So this whole deep dive is sparked by, well, a few things, actually. We've got Jay Poole and the folks over at 7AI from Tech Frontiers. You know those guys?
Oh, yeah, they're always pushing the boundaries.
Always. And then we're also pulling in some insights from Claude 3.7. And it all kind of stems from their exploration of this idea, this from chaos to intelligence,
Yeah.
the reality we're all part of thing.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
Right. So they're talking about this fundamental change, this change in how we think about intelligence. They're moving away from this idea of intelligence as something we possess.
Like, instead of saying, oh, she's so intelligent, it's more about how we're intelligent.
Exactly. It's less about having it and more about doing it. And they're proposing that at its core, intelligence isn't some special trait. It's not, reserved for the select few. It's actually a natural phenomenon. Like, think about it. It's like the way water finds its level. It just is.
Okay, I'm following you. So if intelligence is this natural force, this drive towards order, what does that even mean for us? I mean, how do we fit into all of this?
That is the million-dollar question. And they propose that instead of focusing on how much intelligence we have, like those IQ tests, or how many languages we speak, the emphasis should shift to how effectively we participate in this process.
Participate.
Oh, yeah. It's about recognizing patterns, making meaning out of chaos of life. It's about our ability to engage with all the complexity around us and actually make sense of it.
So the more we understand, the more we see the patterns, the more we're like tapping into this intelligence.
Exactly. It's like we're tuning into a frequency that's always there. We're just getting better at receiving it. And to help us understand how this whole pattern recognition thing works, they delve into this AI concept called latent space. You ever heard of that?
Latent space. I mean, it rings a bell, but honestly, I'm not entirely sure I could explain it.
It's a bit of a brain twister at first. Imagine, if you will, a giant map. But this isn't any ordinary map. This map is a map of information.
A map of information.
Yeah. So every piece of data, every image, every word, every concept, every single thing, it all has its own little spot on this map. And the things that are similar, well, they're clustered closer together.
Okay, so it's like a map of how ideas are connected.
You got it. And this is how AI organizes and compresses all that complex data. It's like storing the blueprints of the patterns figured out.
Pretty cool, but what does that have to do with us?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. They draw this fascinating parallel between this AI concept and, wait for it, our own minds.
Our minds. You're telling me our brains have a latent space too.
Well, not literally, but the idea is that our subconscious might be working in a similar way. It's constantly organizing and restructuring information, like all behind the scenes without us even realizing it.
So you're saying that like new ideas, they're not just popping out of nowhere, they're actually the result of this constant rearranging going on in the back of our minds.
That's the idea. It's not just about recalling facts that are stored away. It's about our brains actively creating new connections, deeper understandings. Like, think of it like a kaleidoscope. Every time we encounter new information, it's like we're giving the kaleidoscope a turn. The pieces rearrange, and a new pattern emerges.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. So are you saying that every aha moment, every flash of insight is actually the result of this latent space in our minds, sort of finally figuring things out?
Precisely. It's like all those pieces finally click into place, and boom, a new understanding is born. And it's not just limited to those big aha moments either. This whole process, this pattern recognition, is happening all the time.
So even those times when an idea just seems to pop into our heads out of nowhere?
Yeah, even those, they call it trigger-based activation.
Trigger-based, like something triggers it.
Right. It's like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
A certain sound, a smell, even a word can trigger a whole cascade of related thoughts and memories. It's like a key fitting into a lock, unlocking a whole network of associated ideas.
And it all happens without us even trying. That's pretty wild.
And here's another piece of the puzzle. It's called recursive refinement.
Recursive, like repeating.
Yeah, in a way. It's the idea that our understanding of something, of any concept, actually evolves every time we revisit it.
Makes sense. I mean, the more we experience, the more we learn, the more nuanced our understanding becomes.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. Knowledge isn't static. It's constantly being refined, reshaped, reimagined. It's like we're polishing a gem. Each time we revisit an idea, we're smoothing out the rough edges, revealing new facets, new depths.
I love that analogy.
And it highlights the fact that learning is a continuous process. It's not about reaching a destination. It's about the journey itself. It's about constantly engaging with ideas, allowing them to evolve and transform within us.
So it's less about having all the answers and more about like being open to the process of discovery.
Exactly. And that brings us to this incredible metaphor they introduced to capture this new way of thinking about intelligence. They call it riding the wave.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a surfer. They're not creating the ocean. They're not controlling the waves. They're learning to read the patterns, to understand the rhythm, to work with the force of the ocean. And in doing so, they're able to, well, ride the
I
waves.
see where you're going with this.
The key insight here is that we as individuals, we're not the sole creators of intelligence. We're not generating it from scratch. Instead, we're becoming more skillful at recognizing the patterns of intelligence that already exist around us. We're learning to align ourselves with those patterns, to channel them, to ride them. We're becoming better surfers.
So it's like intelligence is this vast ocean and we're learning to navigate it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And what's even more mind-blowing is how this metaphor starts to break down the artificial barriers we've erected between, natural and artificial intelligence. If both are ultimately engaging in this process of finding order, of recognizing patterns, then maybe the distinction isn't as clear-cut as we once thought.
So maybe instead of trying to define what intelligence is, we should focus on how it manifests, how it expresses itself in different ways.
Absolutely. And that's the invitation they're extending. Instead of getting bogged down in definitions and measurements, let's shift our focus. Let's look at how effectively we're participating in these natural processes. How well are we learning to read the waves? How skillfully are we riding them?
It's like the focus shifts from the what to the how.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, but I find this perspective incredibly liberating. It takes the pressure off needing to be, super intelligent, and instead invites a sense of curiosity, a sense of wonder. It reframes intelligence as this ongoing, dynamic interaction with something much bigger than ourselves.
It definitely takes the pressure off, and it opens up a whole new way of seeing things. Instead of viewing intelligence as this static achievement, it becomes this continuous process of engagement.
And it's not about having more or less intelligence than someone else. It's about recognizing that we're all participating in this grand, interconnected web of meaning-making.
Like, we're all surfers on the same ocean, each with our own unique style and approach.
Beautifully put. And that brings us back to the heart of it all, that sense of wonder, that realization that we're part of something incredible, something we didn't create, but something we have the privilege of participating in. And Jay Poole and the team at 7AI, they're inviting all of us to join the conversation, to share our own observations and insights about this evolving understanding of intelligence.
And that's what makes this whole exploration so exciting. It's not about finding definitive answers, but about embracing the mystery, about asking new questions, about being open to new ways of seeing ourselves and the world around us.
So if we were to distill this a whole deep dive into one key takeaway, it would be this. Intelligence might not be about what we possess, but about how we participate.
How we engage with the complexity around us, how we find meaning in the chaos.
And for you, our listener, we leave you with this final thought. If intelligence is indeed a wave we ride, rather than a trophy we hold, how does that change the way you approach learning? How does it impact your interactions with others? And how does it shape your understanding of the incredible technologies emerging all around us? It's a fundamental shift in perspective that has the power to transform the way we see the world and the intelligence that permeates it.